If you're looking to create a fun and realistic universe mode, then I got you guys with another quick and easy booking guide. We've already gone over how to set up universe, booking rivalries, and creating random storylines, so today I want to focus on how to continuously shake up your rosters by going over the why, how, and quick examples for drafting rosters, trading superstars, having a transfer window, and even more surprise shakeups. Let's hop into it. So the first fun way to shake up your universe mode and roster is with a draft. Obviously, we all love doing drafts, especially to start your universe mode, because it's a great way to put your own ideas into immediate action. But what about your years beyond it? Because let's be honest, once you get a couple of years into universe mode and you haven't really changed much on the roster side of things, you want to really shake things up to, have some new great ideas. And the best way to do that, to really shake up your roster, is through a draft rather than a transfer window or trades. Because with a draft, you shake up your roster entirely. It's about probably 50% of it gets traded from Raw to SmackDown, SmackDown to Raw, basically. So it's a great way to really shake things up and give all of your superstars in each division new opponents and new rivalries. It's also a great secondary reason is to be able to change up your championships. The WWE title's been on SmackDown for a while now. How about bring it over to Raw? Because a trade for champions wouldn't really make sense. Transfer window wouldn't make sense. But how about the first pick of Raw drafting SmackDown's champion, and SmackDown have to follow it up with drafting Raw's champion? It's a great way to change up champions as well as to shake up the entire rosters as well. So now, how do we go about drafting? There's 3 ways that you can potentially do it. One way is you just hop into a spreadsheet, have your roster from top to bottom filled out, and you go ahead and draft based on which rivalries are in your head. If you want Cody versus Gunther at Mania, draft on the same brand and build that storyline towards WrestleMania, that kind of thing. Same thing on the women's side, to draft how you want your stories to play out. That's one way. Number 2 is also another fun way. I go into my GM, create a custom roster, and then draft against the CPU. It's a great fun way to do it where you're not drafting entirely and you're leaving some stuff up to chance and allowing your universe to be more dynamic with a CPU GM drafting. Then the third way is a completely random way, which is basically give your entire roster to ChatGPT and tell it to draft for each division for the men and the women and tags and let it do its thing, and basically it'll put together a random draft with a new random roster for Raw and SmackDown, and from there you'll decide on what rivalries you want to do rather than predetermining what you want to do in draft, like if you're going to do the spreadsheet way. Now, before we head and give you some examples, we're going to hop on to the other ways to shake up your rosters. At the end, we'll come back to some drafting examples. So the second fun way to really shake up your universe mode and roster is with trades. And this is a bit different from a draft because with trades, you're only changing a few superstars rather than a whole lot of them. So the reason for the why is quite different. So basically, I like to do trades when I'm in a couple of different scenarios. One is if you have a champion who's maybe been dominating and holding the world title for such a long time, or mid-card title for such a long time, they're really running out of opponents and you really want to shake things up with a new superstar for that division, so you can go ahead and trade. A second reason of why would be maybe you have a superstar who you want to see excel in a division, but maybe they're struggling and you're not trying to force win after win. So maybe they need just a new environment. So you go ahead and trade them from maybe SmackDown to Raw. That way it really gives them a nice new push, being on a new brand, giving them a new, environment to be around. So it's a great way to make small changes if you just want to make a few changes here and there rather than changing up your entire roster. So now, how do we go about doing these trades in our universe mode? So there's 2 ways that I really find the best ways to do it. The first one being, if you just can identify 2 people you want to trade on each side, you go ahead and do it. So like I said before, if you have someone who you want to see flourish in your universe mode but really isn't, you already know one side of the trade, then you can go look at the roster for the other side and be like, okay, this other person makes sense for a nice even swap. So that's one way to do it, just know who you want to trade. Second way to really trade is to keep it 100% random, is to go into ChatGPT once again, give it each division and be like, yo, trade one person from one brand to the other, or 2 for 2, that kind of thing, and let ChatGPT do it. Because that's a nice, fun, random way to really shake it up and really put you in a position where now you get to be creative with a shocking trade that you didn't even see coming, to make it more random and fun, just like the old universe modes used to be more random and fun. Now, once again, before we hop into examples, let's go through the next way to really shake up your roster before we go to the trade examples and how to do them. So the third way to really shake up your universe mode and rosters is with the transfer window. We saw it last year for the first time. It felt pretty even, but overall, this could be more of a thing where it's similar to trades, where either you need a new contender for a division, or once again, you need someone who's not really doing well, you need them to flourish on another brand. So once again, it's not a thing like a draft where you're changing up the entire roster. Once again, it's a small changes whenever you really need them to happen to really shake things up. So now, how do we go about actually doing these transfers? And it's very similar to how we did trades, where it's going to be a couple of different ways. One being, if you already have someone in mind, maybe a world title contender who's trying to fight on SmackDown for the WWE title, but maybe the road to getting there is kind of tough. There's a lot of contenders ahead of them waiting for their chance. So there's nothing immediate for them. Maybe just transfer them over to Raw to give them a quick opportunity. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is also the ChatGPT way, where basically you just give it your rosters and have it, come with a couple different transfers. And once again, it'll be completely random, and that's really a lot of the fun with it, making it random, because the old WWE Universe Mode games, it used to be so much randomness, which made it fun. So this can really bring back that feel, like having it totally random, giving that nice random fun feel, where it shakes things up. And on that spot, you really have to come with some new creative ideas for that new transfer to the new brand. So the fourth way to go ahead and shake up your Universe Mode and roster is with a random signing or debut. So really the only reason you do this is to really shake up a division that maybe feels a bit too stale. This can happen at any point in the year, right after Mania, so Raw after Mania, coming right after SummerSlam, any point where you feel a new superstar is warranted. And the really great way to go about this is by making it random. I love the randomness, so maybe have every superstar that you have on Community Creations downloaded, or some on Base Game you just don't have in your Universe Mode yet. Put them onto a wheel, spin the wheel, and that superstar will debut. Obviously, you can go the other route, which is just picking the superstar that you think makes sense for a division. Obviously, a great way to do it. So that's really a fun way to really shake things up with a random signing or debut. So our first example draft I want to show you is doing it through MyGM. When you're going the MyGM route for your draft, you want to make sure you edit the roster though. The big thing you want to do is change all the classes to specialty, so that way every superstar is really valued the same and only face and heel is taken into effect, rather than the random roles that would impact the draft and make the draft a bit weird. So this way it's really fun and really realistic. So once you have that roster set with all the class being specialties, you just go ahead and draft the way you normally would. So for instance, I'm going to draft Cody Rhodes QP1 with the first pick, and SmackDown on their end is going to draft Roman Reigns. So my next pick to feud with Cody Rhodes will be a heel and Drew McIntyre, and basically just go like this every single round of the draft. And it's a lot more fun because the CPU is drafting one roster, you're drafting the other. It makes it random on one side, and really makes you have to think about the creativity and how you want to book going forward. Alright, and I'm going to bring you to an example for drafting with ChatGPT. As you can see, I gave it a quick prompt, which I have all of the wrestlers based on each division, main event, mid-card, tag for all the men and the women. Basically, I told it to go ahead and draft the rosters for Raw and SmackDown. Let's go ahead and have it do that for us and see what it spits out. And just like that, it gave us a roster for Raw and SmackDown splitting up between main events. Look at this. On Raw, it has Cody Rhodes, Gunther, Priest, McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, CM Punk. Absolutely stacked. A cool mid-card tag team division. Same with the women's, Bianca, Rhea, Tiffany, Jade, and Alexa Bliss. That's pretty stacked to me. Over on SmackDown, we have Roman and Jay and Jacob Fatu. Bloodline action. Love to see that. Even Cena, Zayn, and LA Knight getting in the mix. Fun mid-card, fun tag. Over on the women's side, Charlotte, Io, Nia. It's a lot of fun here. It gives you a great, really set of roster. Using this as a way to draft to make it really random and really shake things up. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT to go about doing trades. So obviously I just showed you how I do it to generate these rosters and draft. So now I'm going to say, using this roster that you gave me, I need you to go ahead and make 2 trades. It could be one superstar from Raw for one superstar on SmackDown involving men or the women, and let's go ahead and see what it does. Okay, 2 huge trades. Look at this is so much fun. CM Punk getting traded to SmackDown for LA Knight, and the second trade is Jade Cargill for Io Sky. That's a whole lot of fun. Obviously, you can be more specific with it. You could say do one for the mid-card of the men's, one for the tag teams of women's, and it'll do that kind of thing. For this example, I just made it generic. You can really make it more unique with deciding on which divisions and which men and women you really want to be traded. That's a fun way to go ahead and do it. Alright, now it's time to show you how you can do a great example for the transfer window. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same roster that it drafted and tell it that I need 3 superstars to transfer brands. They can either go from Raw to SmackDown or SmackDown to Raw, and let's see how this example plays out. And here we go, it made 3 transfers. The first one from going from Raw to SmackDown is Randy Orton. Then on SmackDown to Raw, you see Sami Zayn changing brands, and once again, SmackDown to Raw, it is Naomi. So I will say, in these examples, there does seem to be a bias of main eventers, where all 3 transfers were from the main event scene, and all 2 trades were in the main event scene. So you should probably in your prompt ask it to do different divisions between the men and the women, or give it specific divisions to really shake it up. But obviously for this example, it was just a quick generic thing. So just make sure you give it, a little bit more detail in your prompt to make sure it is more random and more fun, rather than just focusing on the main event scene. Alright, for our next example, I'm going to show you how to shake it up with a debut or a turn. So for this, I'm going to also use ChatGPT. Obviously before I said you can spin a wheel, or you can use ChatGPT, either one works. Since I have ChatGPT pulled up, I will use it for this. I said we're off to WrestleMania, I need a big return for this show, and I gave it a list of superstars. I'm going to tell it to choose one, and here we go. And here we go, it randomly picks Mercedes Moné, and it gives a few reasons why, which I think is really awesome, and it gives a big moment idea involving Rhea Ripley. So honestly, this went above and beyond what I thought it would. So obviously, I think this is a great example, as it really shows how far ChatGPT can go besides just picking randomly. So honestly, I think it's better than a wheel.